Hello to all the farmers and irrigators across the North Plains. Today's Monday, the 22nd of September, and as many of you would know, you've had some pretty widespread rainfall across the district. It's been wonderful, although it might have been better timed if it was about a month earlier, because now we're getting in the way of harvest. But I thought it was pretty interesting to take a look at some of the soil moisture probe data, both from Grow Guru and from AquaSpy. So just to put you in the picture, here we are in Dumas, and there's the Water Conservation Centre, and we've got two pivots and two drip systems. So looking at some long-term data, which I'll show you in a minute, from some probes that have been in for 7 years collecting data. First, we'll just jump over to we've got this southern half of the east pivot is planted to cotton this year. And so let's have a quick look at the AquaSpy data. And so what we can see is that pretty much we started fall, and then we've been using some water, and when the lines step up, it's been irrigation or rainfall. And we've had plenty of rainfall this year, but and the stair steps are the daily water use. And so we've been keeping up with crop water use, and then trying to dry it out at the back end of the season, except for this rainfall. We've had 3.67 inches of rain in the last week out at the water centre. And you can see that's why we're full. So with this blue line is really where we started back at full, and now we're even wetter than that. So that's pretty interesting. And and it's also what we really don't want. We're trying, as I said, to dry the profile out. We're going to run a stripper over there, and you'd obviously wanted to run it over dry soil. Unfortunately, it's wet. We'll see what's actually been how this crop grows out of this moisture. If the weather stays warm enough, especially the nights, then the cotton might keep going. But it's also important to point out that back here on the 5th of September, so really going back about a couple of weeks, we actually irrigated again. And so we put on a very late irrigation because that crop was dry. It was stair stepping, and it was as dry as it's ever been. And we made the call to irrigate. And guess what? All those stair steps are the crop drinking, and it took all that moisture out again. So the call to give it that extra inch was really well warranted. So we didn't want to wet it completely up. We wanted to keep it a little bit thirsty so that it didn't go vegetative again. But all of the water that we can see that plant has used actually went into filling out the bowls and lengthening those fibers and thickening and giving us good fiber length and good micronair. So let's just flip over now to the same field, looking at the Grow Guru data. And as you can see, started out wet. We kept up with it through the season. It dried out, and then we put that inch of water on. And then here's the 3.6 inches, 3.67 inches of rainfall that fell. So we're just about full again. And that's remarkable when you consider, if we have a look back over the course of time. Now, remember, this probe has been in for 7 years. So from where we started, way back here in May of 2019, we can see there was a cotton crop, and then there was a corn crop, and then a cotton crop, and then a corn crop, and then a cotton crop, and then a corn crop. Then we went to forage sorghum, and now we're back to cotton again. And so what would have happened is that we would have dried this soil out, and we would have kept going down into the red, and probably finished somewhat like we did in maybe in 2020 or maybe in 2022, where that cotton used a lot of water at the end of the season. Then we had some dry winters, and then we had to pre-water to get that water back to the soil moisture back to full again. Well, guess what? If I zoom back in over here, we can see that nature has actually got us back to full. That's remarkable, considering the previous 2 cotton crops that we've had in the last 7 years left us incredibly dry, and we needed to pre-water. This time, and once again, I'll just flip back to look at the 7 years worth of data. Instead of finishing out of the winter back here, coming into the 2021 season, we needed to pre-water, and then I think might have got a little bit of rainfall. Coming out of the 2022 season into 2023, we were very dry. We needed to put a lot of moisture back on until it started to rain. This time, very different. So that's a quick look at some of or basically what's been happening around the district as far as that rainfall, but also putting it in perspective on where we stand over the long term. And so using these tools, these soil moisture probes from both AquaSpy and from Grow Guru, we can see what's been going on in the season, but also how it relates to seasons in the past. And it's a pretty interesting look. Obviously, we've got to get through harvest, but we're sitting pretty now going into next season. Now, we'll see what happens over the off season, whether we plant a cover crop or what the season brings. But right now we're sitting pretty, and we won't have to do all that pre-water that we would normally do. This has been David Sloan on behalf of the North Plains Groundwater Conservation District. Thank you.